Henrietta?
No.
Board? Charlotte, you want to come? Or Charlotte's like the, almost take pictures of Charlotte maybe. But I'll talk a little bit. So I wanted to do this award at National Night Out, and she's like, oh, so no, one thing we did is we had our National Night Out, and in the past they've always done it on the block thing. I know that Devin, when I kind of talked to him about it, he said how he brought like a magician back in the day, and so when we had this crazy concept, I said, man, I want to do this big for the city of Floresville. One thing is the police officers, when I talked to Lorenzo and everyone, they did not skip a beat. They didn't miss anything. They said, what do we got to do? How can we help? This is who can help. I know Olga's not here today. She was instrumental in doing that. So if people don't know what National Night Out was about, National Night Out was just bringing our community, our police department, our first responders together, just to have a good night out and get to know each other, know one another, good camaraderie, kind of remove some of those barriers that we have, the barriers that your officers see on a day-to-day basis. So we want to continue to have events like this. So with that being said, is we've already booked the event center for the next 2 years. So Texas's National Night Out is always the first Tuesday in October. It's not something you can change. So it's been booked for the next 2 years at the event center. Hopefully we can do it bigger and better and go into the gym and grow it to our sports complex in the back and see the bigger vision, because we did this in such a short amount of time, and I think we had over 500 people there. With Conley gave over 250 free flu shots to community members. And so we're not only just getting to our first responders and our police officers, but we're helping make our town a healthier place to live and keeping everyone safe. So this is just an appreciation, a token from the EDC and the city of Floresville, just for what y'all do as officers on a day-to-day basis. It doesn't go unnoticed. We see the change, because part of what we have to do with economic growth starts with y'all. So as we can go out and say, hey, we're doing this in our community, we can say we have a great police force that will stop at anything to become, that's part of the community, so we can grow our town in an economic way as well. So it was great to be with y'all during TML, to learn how we're working together and the different facets, and just from us, we want to thank you for what you do. And then I'll let Charlotte, this is something that, so when we were doing something, she's like, I want to give that to us. So I was like, give it to us, like, good. Right. So
they need to have that.
They need to have that in their thing, so we just want to thank y'all.
Thank you.
We got to open it though. It's almost like Christmas.
And I wanted you also to see the banner. The community came out and signed it, and they were all for it. And I'm sure we could have gotten more signatures, but we're learning. This was our first annual, and
won't y'all take that and you put it in your office for a while, or put it up outside, and and just we can invite community to come sign it at your office. Maybe we hang the sign, Greg. We can invite community to come sign it in their office, but we just want to, thank y'all for what y'all do. You want to, y'all come in here, we're going to photo real quick.
Speech.
On behalf of the Floresville Police Department, I'd like to thank the FEDC, and however we can help next year, let us know, and we'll gladly do whatever we can.
Thank you very much.
Chief Griller.
Come on in.
Fill in on that side.
We'll talk about it later.
The city manager's not in the picture.
That's okay, I'm good.
We're good? Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you again. Appreciate it.
It's a small
Good work. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
I took a photo of the police.
I had a handshake, I had no idea.
The big group.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Take it over to the treaty, Doug.
There you go.
If you don't mind.
He's gonna look like him tomorrow. Consider it go right now. I'll send this to one of y'all guys.
Roll. I want to see the number
In
before I
your
go.
office and that. You will invite people that want to come in and see it. Signers, don't be afraid of it. Who's in it?
Okay, board, let's go back to old business number one. Let's review the minutes that our owner here. Making your additions and corrections that we need to make. Then you said one day.
And we'll go,
We're doing the minutes right now.
yeah, we can do the minutes. One A. And just so you know, we're gonna, by the end of this week, we'll have our, for National Night Out, we'll be sending to the NATW, it's the National Association of like Neighborhoods, we're in the running for a New City Award, for a National Community Award, so that'll be in by the 29th. We'll get it in this week, so we'll know in less than a month, hopefully, if we made one of the top 40 cities in the nation.
Any changes or corrections to the minutes? If not, let's entertain a motion to approve.
I move that we approve the presented minutes as presented.
Motion by Gonzalez,
Second.
second by Idrak. All in favor of approving the minutes as presented, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. 5-0. Actually, 6-0.
6 or yeah, you do.
Okay, where did you want to go?
We're gonna, if we could go down to E,
3,
3E, 3E.
3E.
We're gonna step down to some facade grants and,
Okay, this, at the request of the director, let's move on to item 3E. Consideration and action to approve a facade grant request for the Rey del Taco. Is Mr. Hernandez here?
if he comes to me, I'm gonna talk, I said, he's gonna be on camera. Pretty good, how are you?
All right, thanks.
Hello, Mr. Hernandez.
Well, this real informative, not gonna make you stand up. So this is Ricardo Hernandez, if you haven't met him. Ricardo opened Rey del Taco on the corner of Standish and 181 right there at the old Chevron station. Since he's been open, he was one of our first things we put on social media. I think we're up to like 3,800 views. And so when we put it out there, people that looked at it, and I have updated his phone number, some things like that. So
Did you bring your chocolate with you?
Yeah.
These are little street tacos.
Yes.
So if you will go through the application and you can look at the what is requesting is what is requesting is 5 2-by-10-foot signs at $200 a piece, so that'll be $1,000. 2 signs for his logo. I put pictures behind it, so if you look, the signs will go across the top. So the signs will go across the top of the gas station all the way. He wants to paint the facade and get some more signage out there because, yeah, you gotta kind of go towards the back. This is his logo. And then if you go to I should have probably numbered them, I'll get better at that. This is on the building, the white part on the building, right? Ricardo, this is the building when you walk in.
Yes.
He wants to put signage across there. And then if you look at the next page, this is like where the gas pumps are. He wants to put signs across the top and change maybe the color of that blue to where it matches his logo. And this is the first phase. As he gets more into it, we've talked about wanting to replace the chevron signs that are real high in the air. We're not at that point yet.
This
So,
right here?
but no, if you look, the old signs, there's the
Okay,
old
yes.
signs, it's like a Pizza Inn and Chevron.
Yes.
So as we go and update those signs, and he doesn't need both of them, but if no one's in the market for another sign, we can work on
This
that.
would be changed out.
But this will be changed out, yes, this is the one facing the name of that church, Bethlehem Baptist?
Greater Bethel Missionary Baptist.
Yeah,
Greater Bethel Missionary Baptist Church.
Yeah, the Greater Bethel Missionary Baptist. He'll update that sign going both directions on Standish Street on 97. So, and put some lighting on it as well. Right now, it used to light up with the gas price of like $2.02 when it closed, and I was like, oh man, the cheap gas in town. But,
People still stop by, hey,
For gas.
some gas, no? No, it's too close.
yeah, so he wants to upgrade that sign and light everything up. So right now, it's really dark. We're having some electricians come in. You can see that on the next page of the invoice. So the exterior facade was $1,200, and then he got a bid from his electrician. I took a photo of it. They wrote it out for $1,500. So the total is $49,12. So I should have probably written this out, but I didn't. I missed this step. So $49,12 divided by 2. So I'm making a recommendation that we help with the facade and signage grant for $2,456. That's 50% of the $49,12. And if you have any questions for Ricardo, now's the time.
I might say, you know, I've eaten there several times, it was very good. A good addition to our eating places. And I move that we approve the request as presented by our ED.
I'll second the motion.
Motion by Gonzalez, second by Pruitt, that we approve the recommendations of our executive director for 24 something.
2456.
2456, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries 6-0. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You want to stay, you can, you're free to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I would like to say invitation to the restaurant
Okay.
today. Would you like
At what
to?
time?
To 9. We should stay there tonight.
Okay, let's-
Open till 9.
okay.
Can we not stay for
Everybody.
No, we're going fast.
Can we go to the back?
Now you're not been motivated to not stay here.
Get,
tonight.
You know,
packed up
and
and
it's a
continue
nice
eating.
addition.
It is,
It's a nice addition that it gives us a restroom, the space.
Para aguantar.
Really? I like his hours, you know?
No.
No tengo lugar, pero podemos planear algo.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cuando lo arreglamos el check.
Okay.
Nosotros quedamos.
Muchas gracias. Están invitados si gustan.
You
Pueden
got his
pasar a
W.
cenar.
Okay, I'll be there later. All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ricardo.
Okay, now we're going to,
Now we're gonna go,
you want to do F?
yes.
Okay, let's continue on the facade grants. Consideration to approve a facade grant request for Shalom Soup House. Do we have Ms. Benton here?
Come on, Ms. Benton, you're in the hot seat now. This is all new. So I can tell you, everyone that we talked to, they're like, do I gotta come? I said, look, we said, everybody gotta come.
Yep.
Everybody gotta come, sit in the hot seat.
Suffer a little bit,
So, I'm gonna have her pronounce it, right? So, so one thing I can really tell you is that I'm really excited about Shalom Market. Was it Shalom Market?
Shalom Natural Market.
Shalom Natural Market, and you'll see as we move forward. We were talking about it, and we kind of talked to her and her daughter, and Teresa is taking over. She's going to be under new ownership, so she's taking over from Miss Rotter. How long ago did you?
June 1st.
June 1st. So she moves since June 1st, and she's in the Blue Casa Village in the Blue House. So if you haven't been there yet, I think she's there Tuesday through.
Wednesday through Saturday.
Okay, there you go. Wednesday through Saturday for lunch. And so she's got probably, I'm not gonna lie, man, some of the better, if not best sandwiches and soups in
It's so
town.
nice, you get there, you go, I want this on it, I want that on
That's
it,
your-
I want
that's
this
your
on
market?
it. I want to.
That's for veggies like me?
I love that.
Yeah, veggies like you. She can make you
Vegan
the
like me?
I can fix your veggie stuff, sure.
You
got it.
You get to pick
I'm
whatever.
a meatless person. Finally, I got somebody.
Circle, circle, circle.
Yeah, she even makes it in a casserole you can take over and cook. We got a big family, so. So we got talking and you know, it's been exciting. Of course, when I took this job over, it's just to give some expertise back to them, and so we've talked about like the names, and so I really don't understand like what it meant, Because since it's been open for about, how long has it been open for?
It's been, well, Megan ran it for, what, 6 or 8 years?
6 or 8 years.
But when she first started, it was she just did supplements when she first started, and then she kind of branched off into kolaches and soup and stuff like that. So I think that's where the Shalom Natural Market came from, and she just never changed the name of it, so.
So we talked about like, how do you know this is an eatery? Because that's one of her main things is like the soups and stuff. So you'll see as we move forward, her request had come in, and she's working with Legacy Design over there in Poe, and so she was wanting to do two 2x6 vinyl aluminums, a 10 by 2.5 foot vinyl aluminum sign to go across the front, and you can see the pictures on there. The 2x6 will replace where, like it says, Natural Health, the kolaches with their new logo on the sign. And then on the top of her building where the green roof is, a lot of those buildings have a sign built up there with lighting, because when you drive by there, maybe trimming the plants, she just has a few things, so she'll go across the top with the banner, correct?
Yeah, that's where the 5x5 sign is. The 5x5 is going to go on the
Yeah.
roof, and then the banner's going to go right.
And the banners go across the top, and then the 5x5 installed on the top with like a 3x3 mobile sign to put out there, and then the installation of it. One thing that we didn't get to on this project, which I don't think it would cost any more than $500 to run electrical to that sign, which she wanted to do. So I want to make a recommendation that we do the 970 plus around $500. I made a phone call to one of the electricians I know, and he just did over the phone. So that would put it at 1470 divided by 735. So I'll make the recommendation that we help her with the 50% of the facade grant at $735. That way she can get her name out there, have some signage, and then we can do a re-grand opening. And if you look at the cool part, I don't want to put it out there yet because I want her to, when we have the sign, so it's confidential. I think I put her logo in there for some of y'all, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the soup house. So she's going from the name to call it Shalom Soup House. You like that, S? Pretty neat, right? Oh, thank you.
Saturdays and Sundays?
What's that?
Saturdays and Sundays also. You're
Open Saturday.
Saturday. And if you've been by there, man, I guess that's always the fight. What's really called a kolache and what's a pig in a blanket? She has a true fruit kolache in there. A fruit kolache is the big square ones like raspberry and cream cheese and apple. Yeah, you don't get this body by like not doing it. My wife, yeah. So I had that from my wife on Wilson County News. But yeah, so that's my recommendation to the board, is that we help her with her new venture, which this is her first venture. So I'm excited to like we said, we want to help retain those jobs, those employees she has, and keep this business going and let it know. And what I like about it is where her location is. It actually expands our city limits, right? It brings us deeper into town. So as we help with the marketing, we're not just stopping at HEB or 3rd Street. We're going all the way to like Dairy Queen, right across the street that way. So I really enjoy that as well. So.
Okay, what's the dollar amount that you're recommending?
$735.
Is there a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion.
Second. Motion by Lambert, second by Galvin, to approve $735 for the, what is it?
Shalom Soup House.
Shalom Soup House. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. As a very small business owner, this is going to be very helpful.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for. So just anything we can do for you, have our business cards.
And we'll be customers too.
Yeah, definitely. Stop by my kolaches. Seafood gumbo on Friday and Saturday.
Yes, during Lent they got and they can take the meat out, Roy. She does a vegetarian gumbo.
We're expanding our salad options, so stop in for salads.
I'm a salad eater.
Thank you, folks.
Okay, thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
So,
Okay, let's continue with the facade grant. Let's go to item 3G. Consideration action to approve a facade grant for a business project. Owner Marcelo Lejas.
come on, Marcelo, you're up. So,
You want to discuss the business project?
yes. You want to talk about Marcelo? When we talk about it? Yeah. So Marcelo, he doesn't call this, but he's got the project, I think, at 1705 10th Street, right? 1705 10th Street, right next to the Dairy Queen. I forget whose house that used to be. Zuniga's house, yes. He's, you can look at the photos. They started on the construction of it, and I think they tore down half the building already and kind of put it back up as far as to just make the aesthetic part of it go across. So it's going to be a business development that he's working on to either pass on another business or to maybe rent out for future businesses. And then other things that are kind of in the workings on some of those other things he's changing over. So I think, tell a little about what you're doing from where you're changing, because you'll see that the RE/MAX sign has gone down, so we can clarify that. It's not going away.
Sure. Well, that's a different thing, but
Yeah.
for this particular project, it's a resident, it's been used as a residential property, but the city has its zoned, the land, for commercial. So my wife and I purchased the property a couple of years ago, and it's sat there. Previous owners, I don't know who did the attachments, but you had the main house that Mr. Zuniga had built, and then they attached over to the left side of it, but it was a flat roof, and so it's, throughout the years it had started leaking, so that whole side of it was rotted really bad. So we have gone in there and built, that whole side is all new construction, new metal roofing. I'm hoping to sell it as an office space, commercial office space. We'll have 4 enclosed offices, a break room, 2 handicap bathrooms, and a nice reception area, and 2 large, conference room areas. So that's the goal, to sell it. Initially, I was hoping we bought it because I've been a RE/MAX broker owner for 20 years. And I was going to have my real estate office there, but I have another project where I'm building. They should be delivered in like 3 weeks. I have 2,500 olive trees that I'm going to be planting.
Just north of town on County Road 128.
Yes.
So the old Continental Floral Green, if you go out the back way to North Elementary, which is Floresville area, he's building an olive orchard.
Yes.
You're trying to go back to Calaveras?
Yes. But yes, that's correct. And so, so anyway, I need to sell that so I can get this.
How big is the building?
I'm sorry?
How big is the building?
It is roughly about 2,700 square feet.
And so what I really enjoy about some of this I call it reworking of our south of Floresville with the Shalom Soup House. You'll see next agenda, we're bringing the new owner of the car wash that got bought up. And with this is going to revitalize that into town and stretch our town. So if you look at the invoice, you can see some of the stuff he's doing as far as redoing the brick, the painting of the exterior facade, the cedar soffits, the labor for the facade, and then the new door and metro lighting. So
yeah, the building is going to be really transformed. The brick is going to be, we had added to the left side because it really wasn't there. So we added that and brought it all up to match the other side. That's done. And then we're going to put hardy. It's all going to be painted white. It's got a new black metal roof that we're put on there. And so it'll be white and black. And then in the center, there's like a bump out that's going to be wrapped in a real pretty cedar that will be horizontal. So it's going to have a fairly modern look to it, the interior and exterior. Of course, we're going to landscape it, and it's going to be very pretty. It's going to be nice. Hopefully, a very nice professional office space that would be for sale.
So, and this is one thing I really admire about Mr. Lejas, and I'm gonna brag on him, I ain't really talked to him about it, that, you know, you see people coming for these facade grants, they go right to the 15. He was really like, look, this is what we need to get this project going, get it rolling. He didn't talk anything about the signage part of it that's coming later on. So this was the number he brought. So I was recommending that we do half of the $11,035, which would be $5,517.50. So to continue with this project for our economic growth, so we can market this building with him to bring in some potential clients in the future, or move, I always tell him to move his bar around there. So can you tell about that project?
Sure.
So you know?
So I have been a broker owner for Remax Vista for like 20 years. And you renew the franchise every 5 years. And so I've been managing agents since 1992. I'm 60 years old now, and I'm just kind of starting to just enjoy, you know, things. So I just didn't want to manage agents anymore. My daughter stepped up. She's a broker associate. She has been for about 15 years. So now I did not renew my Remax franchise. And we're branding ourselves as Dwell. It's just the word dwell. I found it in the Old Testament, in the book of Ezekiel, where God says, you know, if my people will follow my commandments, then they'll be able to dwell in the promised land, and they'll have peace and so on. So anyway, but my daughter likes the word dwell for, it really, the tagline is real estate done well. We have a reputation in town, in these areas, we try to do real estate to the best that you can. And so we're now Dwell and not Remax Vista. The good news is that the Remax used to be a state-owned deal, but now the international company bought the state for Remax. Anyway, they've got somebody that's going to be opening up their Remax as well. So there's still going to be Remax,
Yeah.
but not Remax Vista. And but we're going to be Dwell.
So if you look at that building that used to be Remax Vista, they've already started to work on that, and they painted it, I think, a black color with
Yes.
the white trim, and then
Yes.
going to work on the fence and the sign and things like that.
Our colors are black and white and foam green, a really unique foam. I have a copy of my new business card here, but that's a different.
That's another project, but anyway, so we try to get out here before 9, we said, so. But that's my recommendation.
The glamour shot there. So.
Everything on the
I heard a
table.
long time ago, every realtor has to have a glamour shot.
So, any questions or anything?
So you're recommending we approve what amount again?
The $5,517.50, which is 50% of the $11,035.
I so move.
Motion by Gonzalez, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Lampert, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 6-0.
Okay.
Marcelo, you were young.
Remember?
You sold new property too, you remember? You met us, Charlotte.
Oh, yes.
Whoa.
Wow, hey.
5 acres.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes,
It's
that's
been a
right.
while, yeah.
That's right. It's been a long time.
So, anything we can do to help Dwell with the branding and
Okay.
putting that out there to just put Floresville on the map with Dwell, just know we're here for that. And if you saw that part of our workshop at the end or heard about it, that's what we're here for. So you got my number?
Yes.
And so what do we do to help those know?
I would like to say one thing about this young man. He's been calling me, super busy, but I really appreciate his enthusiasm and he's persistent. He's like, come on, Marcelo, did you fill out the application? So, I really like that fact that he's like into into what you guys are representing, because he had mentioned it to me, and then I got working and I forgot, and then he's following up and he's staying on top of it. And I just want to say that because none of the other, no offense to any of the other, men that have been in this position, but he's working it, and I appreciate that because I'm super busy.
I'm gonna have to pay him later.
That's right.
We appreciate it too.
Enthusiastic.
I'm sorry?
Persistent, enthusiastic.
That's right.
Yeah.
And who else is Jason to get him out?
Yes,
I'll meet him later.
We're very proud to have him.
Yeah, no, I'm serious. And so I just wanted to say it because really, I probably wouldn't have filled out anything, but he's calling me and following up and how's it going and.
Yeah, we were talking about it, and I want him to put out there, so as he goes forward, we gotta put kind of where our money, where our mouth is, right? So what better way of branding ourselves as someone that's developing, and as he's going out and trying to sell properties and say, look, this is why you should buy here in Floresville, have your business here in Floresville. So, and I really was tied in the project. I haven't had a chance to walk through it yet, but as I go to that side of town, which I haven't, if y'all haven't been that way lately, and you see these resurgence of these businesses and what they want to do, it's just like, that's what we need to expand our city limits. So it's like, why is Trail Riders doing so good downtown? Why is Dairy Queen doing so good where it's at? And then we have these businesses that were vacant for years. I'm talking like 5, 10 years. The Carl's been vacant almost 2 years. This house was vacant a couple of years. So 5 years, I think, right around there. So now that we're bringing them going, and then like the soup market, it's been through 3 different businesses. How can we make her be a staple and stay and be one of the cornerstones of that Blue Casa Village? So thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Good luck with all that.
Oh, thanks.
And that was, I wanted to talk about that too a little bit. I was excited to hear that he bought that many trees. I was like,
All right, let's go on to
IRS 2Z.
IRS. Ms. Turner, you want to talk about the IRS?
Okay,
report?
yes, I did provide a simple email, a memo in your packet, but it just says, basically under 2B, that I followed up with the IRS regarding the reimbursement. Talked to several people I was on hold, or they don't have any update and can't tell me the status, so then I'll have to continue to be able to do that.
Okay. You want to talk to us about the parking lot projection?
Yes, so the next one under 2C, we follow up an update on the parking lots. We're talking about the 2 parking lots behind, one behind, we call it Plus, and the other one is behind what we call the movie theater, so everybody can have like a location where we are. Okay, so in reference to the parking lot behind Plus, it's complete except for the painting for reserved parking stalls that we need to do for that, waiting for it to cure a little bit more and the rain. Republic did a great job for the ribbon cutting ceremony. Everybody talked about, why are you doing a ribbon cutting for a parking lot? I was excited that it was actually done, so that was really nice, and so we have to be able to do that. The second lot behind the movie theater is 85% complete. We have another load that they have to bring in. That load is going to be the driveway that's closest to the second, what is that, Frontier? There's a second driveway that they're gonna do for a second mix. And then we are gonna be meeting with Republic as to where we can put a pad for their garbage cans and the containers so that we can make sure that we have, those trucks are so heavy and they go back and forth. So we're meeting with them on Friday.
Because if they stop, they'll just create more potholes, so we gotta put it where on the cement.
It's in concrete, doesn't it?
It does better on concrete, and if you've seen the one over there behind Fluffs, it's pretty
Yes,
big.
that-
It's
that's
not gonna be
very
the
good, very good.
and we added a light, there's a light there now, where there was light there. So they helped us design, say, this is the best location for them and their trucks, this is what we need to do, so we're gonna go out there now and design it for that. So that's the final thing we have to do. So let's talk money. So the budget was $227,000, not to exceed. Year-to-date expenses is $216 and $216,587. We have encumbrance, meaning that we've ordered some things and those POs are coming for $10,250, and we have a reserve that's left of $10,413, which is what we'll probably use to do the final pads that we need to be able to do. Not to think that I'm going to be returning $10,000. I do want to spend
Yeah,
it.
she is gonna note that's gonna be spent.
Not to exceed, that's not gonna exceed. If you turn to the page behind it, that's just a report that we received, will echo my numbers from Encode of the annual budget, year-to-date encumbrance, and what we call reserve, which is a credit, okay? We did this actually, and then if you look behind that, it has each and every invoice a detailed report. And so for auditing purposes, we'll be providing that to the auditor, that we have each and every invoice that we needed to have going forward to justify spending the $216 that we've spent to date.
And I really want to thank Kenny Retta for seeing the vision of what we wanted in the past, where before past projects we kind of had some money over, but now we're putting them in the right line item and keeping track of it. And so just for our purposes, but just good to the community as well. If they have a question, we have this information here and what it was spent on. And to piggyback on this project, you know, just so we know when people ask, there was maybe some negativity on the project, but I'll step up for it every day as one of the futuristic projects because it's one of the first of its kind, in Floresville, first of its kind. We got a public, private, and an FEDC partnership where you're bringing in and doing work on private properties, which is our businesses, which we're supposed to help with the parking lot. So he said, why are you doing the parking lot? Well, they don't realize we can't spend our funding on streets and stuff like that unless they're projects, right? So these we're improving the parking lots for those projects. And for them to put in their time as a partnership and do the work for us, I thank the city for that.
But also, I think the goodwill is definitely there.
You see it done.
The businesses are coming back saying, the parking lot is so big. I know you were out there, Jacob, and we're out there cooking hot dogs and stuff out there. But they're saying, it's so open, it's so big, it's so bright now that we have more parking lot than we thought that we had before. But we actually completed a project. And so now, as I'm about to tear up their front door, they're not gonna be as angry with me because you also partner with us on that at $250,000 for our sidewalk. And so that's gonna lead us to that. The engineer Intrepid's gonna be coming to report. We're probably about 45 days before we get our final order to proceed. And then we're gonna start demolishing. But of course, it came out really well because we did not want to do any demolition until after Peanut Festival was done. And so now we're about 45 days out for approval. Then we'll start the demolition on their front door, but they have the back to do. So it was a learning experience for me. It was a learning experience for my staff. They like hot mix and cold mix. I think they like the hot mix better. But I do think the businesses are happy about that. You know, like I said, I'm going to go over there and they got some grass growing in my parking lot. I don't like grass and some of the grass. So we have to finish the property. But it was used during Peanut Festival. People were really happy with that. And so as Ben's going to go back and go and ask to start doing lighting and some other things on the building itself, I think they'll be welcoming because they're really, really happy to see progress moving forward.
I like the detail. It's a good thing.
All the details. That's a report. And if, like I said, if you have a chance, you get a chance to read it and you look at it, you have any question, let me know. But we gave the full report. This is the full report.
And the extra parking came very handy for the Peanut Festival.
Oh, did it?
Oh, yeah. Nice being able to park there close to
And
where
late at
they were
night,
going.
the garbage cans are lit up, so you can.
Oh, yeah.
Garbage can. So I want to thank you all for partnering with that. Yeah, along the same subject, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Intrepid Russell will also be reporting on the final cost and where we are on the parking lot for the event center. And so that's a project that we halfway done, that you all are picked out a number to the city. The city said, hold on a little bit, and so we'll have some almost final numbers from that. We received the grant from Sarah at $100,000, and so once the final design is in, we can come up with whatever he comes up with, and then we'll bid it, and then we can come back to you with some numbers, as we did when we did this parking lot. So if you're still interested, hopefully. He said you all left it in the budget. No numbers.
We left the line with zero.
A holding
right.
spot,
Listen,
a holding spot.
That's very much needed, you know. As Don, I mean, Danny can tell you that parking lot is bad shape, so
Yes.
it will really help.
Yes. So thank you. End of my report, sir.
Thank you very much. Okay, item 2D, financial overview of September 2019.
Yes, seems like we have done finalized the year very well. We have an increase on the September month, 12%, so we finished with 114% of the revenues. And the total amount from the same of last year, $74,000. And therefore, the last year to this month, we have an increase of 24% on the second page. And overall, for the total amount of the month for the last year is an increase of $63,000.
So right now we're looking at 7.57% increase from last year. When we budgeted our last budget, we budgeted a 5% increase of the 790 versus the of this total of 5%. So if we stay up that 5 to 7, 8% growth, you know, I think 2020 looks really good going forward, you know.
Yeah, 2020 nationwide is probably gonna be kind of slow. There's gonna be some, start showing already, but I think because the type of business and the microeconomic in the area, probably we don't be affected.
No.
So we'll be okay. But macroeconomic is, start showing some cracks on it. And I think that 3 years ago, I mentioned to the city council that was in 5 years, we were gonna get a correction. And here we're in the third year, it's starting to show already. But I don't think we're gonna be affected by that. Even so, some businesses are closing, but some of the businesses that are closing, they are nationwide operations also, so they start cutting here and there. But otherwise, so far, so good.
I think part of that report also shows some accounts payable. Check, is that,
Yes.
is that what we're seeing there?
Mhm. Yeah, so if anyone has any questions on what's going in and out, it's there. Those are some of the highlights.
Okay. If there's no comments regarding,
I think the only comment, if you look at, I mean, we're on a, from our end of our budget year now, I mean, if our holiday season is on the upturn of how you can see the increase from July, August, and September, I mean, it's gonna be a good Christmas season.
One question there, Ben, you know that we had significant jump there in September. Can you pinpoint why the big jump? Is this because we're adding income?
I think with some of the annexation of the different businesses that weren't in the city limits, maybe.
Okay. Sales tax?
And, yeah,
You know, schools all, it's like Christmas and school always do, and so the comptroller pays late. And so big time for sale for school starts in July.
yeah,
But you don't see
But
that.
it's attributable to growth, I guess.
yes.
Yes,
Yes.
the growth in sales.
So you'll see that, I don't think you'll see the drop off, so we'll talk about kind of our
So it's
report.
not that we're making more, it's we got more to come from, right?
Right.
And they're staying home. They're seeing that it's more feasible to stay home and shop, maybe eat at home at some of our new eateries than to go out in San Antonio.
Go to San Antonio.
And-
Looks good.
Yeah, and I don't want to steal anything from the enthusiastic young gentleman who's
Oh.
persistent. He's been working with Zantac tax people. Zac tax.
Yeah.
That's been tracking and trending where the sales tax are. And I was really surprised that one of the restaurants downtown of Floresville, Trail Riders, is one of the top 5 at getting taxes. I mean, I know you would expect Walmart, of course, and Whataburger and H-E-B, you expect those to be the top. But in the top 5, Trail Riders downtown is in that top 5 for sales, so that's really saying that something's happening downtown. And so as we're looking at that sales tax, and also it's gonna help search to find out what we're missing, because maybe something out there that's not reporting, that we can make sure that we're collecting all that we're supposed to, because that definitely hits your bottom line, as well as the cities. So,
And the event center's bottom line, so it helps everyone, the roads, the event center as well.
and just to say that we're tracking, if you look at the downtown parking lot balance, you know, we spent 216,587, that's what my report says.
So with the annexation yet to be, this is going to get bigger.
Yes, our annexation was effective as of October 1,
So, okay.
and so, the state comptroller usually reports about 3 months delayed, about 2 to 3 months delayed, so you're gonna start seeing that result, as the city will see the results on the ad valorem tax a year from now, a year from January, because you always pay your taxes a year behind.
Does that also add to the city's expenditures to support that?
Yes, we have a 5-year plan to do streets and those improvements. Most of them, we're already selling water and sewer too, that have it.
I'm saying the city's gonna pay more because they're there too, right?
Yes, yes, but they've been using city services, our streets and things such as that are already now today.
would you be able to tell us what business were affected by the annexation?
Well, like in the first annexation, the service, okay, I get
Yes,
it.
sir.
No, the one on the corner down there, the hardware store,
Ditmar.
so Ditmar, and then the service people, they were added on, so that's the increase that we've seen. And then, of course, they're selling Polarises like crazy, but Richardson Brothers that we did in 2017. Now,
All the
vehicles
parts.
are not part of sales tax, I don't get that, but car parts are, but those Polarises are sales tax.
Now they do Can-Am samples, and he's, I think, within the next week, he'll get his CDU certain thing back he's got, and full of CDUs they're gonna start.
So those are sales tax revenue, we're not the vehicles, I'm gonna have some of the trucks, but the state keeps all that to themselves. So we don't have any of that. But, so those kind of things that we're gonna be increasing. So we're excited to be able to do that and track the numbers.
Let's go to item 3A, change the November board meeting from Monday the 11th to Monday the 18th. I'm guessing that's because of Veterans Day?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's a holiday. City Hall's closed on that day, and with respect to all service members, I'd like to see if we can change that date to the following Monday, the 18th. Or unless y'all have another date within that month. But like I said, it's the slow time of the year I'm seeing, but we have a lot of projects, the Christmas and the Lodi Park that we can report on, and still making sure we're staying on task. So when January comes, I won't hit the ground running still. So.
Okay, motion to change it from the 11th to the 18th.
I so move.
Motion by Gonzalez,
It's still a Monday, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's okay.
Second.
second by Mr. Edrock. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries 6-0. Consideration and action appoint Ben Reed to the Riverbend Community Development Corporation to the Board of Directors.
So I put in there 3B. I didn't put in there, Charlotte put in there.
Just bring it back credits.
Yeah, let me correct that. There was Paul Sack had resigned as a Riverbend Corporation Board Chairman from, he was part of it from the very beginning, and you know, we're not really in charge of that money with the TIF, and I'm learning a lot about it, so I don't want to speak on it. Maybe Henry can help me piggyback on there. But there's historically always been members from the community, like the hospital has a board member, the city of Floresville has a board member. So with y'all's recommendation, maybe want to get approval to see if y'all can recommend me to sit on that board. I think it's real important as part of our growth. I think Ray talked about it earlier, as far as the subdivisions come in, and this is one of the biggest subdivisions we have that we did that TIF, and we need to get some things straight on there that as we know more about it.
So we had a member on that board years ago, right?
Mr. Tommy Baker said.
Baker's a signer still, so we need to go there and change
So every ED
that.
has been on that board.
Yes, but previously, Johnny sat on the board, but he didn't want to do anything because Mr. Baker was the treasurer. But Tommy sat on that board as treasurer, and he was on the board appointed by this board.
I
But
won't be treasurer.
it's going through a total remake of new members, and they're falling apart, and we need to be able to get a handle of that. Ironically, the city will be appointing someone to the board as well to represent the city of Floresville. Even though it is a separate entity, it's under the name of the city of Floresville, and so we need to get a handle on that. The good news is that the tax rate that they have now, they can afford to pay the note. They've always been a little behind, and so the taxes have actually caught up because of the improvement and the movement for that. And some people, I know I don't have to tell you, but some people, this development itself has gone bankrupt twice. They've lost 2 owners, and so it's been a hard, time getting it started, but now it's starting. But we have to get a handle on some of the finances, and the city has not been active on that. It's been kind of like running its own animal, but I think with Paul resigning, we probably need to look at that. So if you make a recommendation for a member from EDC, the city is going to take into consideration to have a representative, and then we'll go by the bylaws of what's going forward.
Can you tell us a little bit more about getting the finances in order?
Well, at the last time for the audit, and you all know how much my auditor just loves me, they did have some questions about Riverbend and where the finances are, because they get tax money that they have to sit and they have to pay their own bonds. And so in asking Mr. Sack about some of the members, he gave me a list, but it really wasn't an active list, because it is not the responsibility of the city to pay that, it's actually responsibility of this board. And so what we're going to do is have to get a handle of where we are, how far we are behind, and I think they have a pretty high interest rate of about 7.5%, that we need to really look at refinancing that 7.5%.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but don't they receive the taxes, the portion of the taxes from the hospital, the city,
Yes.
everybody?
Yes.
So that's why it's important that the hospital has a board member actively involved.
Even the Zeffirini's office will have to have a representative. We have
Kimple.
to ask the state representative. Kimple has a representative on their board. Their board is about 9 members, but all those members at that board meeting said that they're no longer active, they're not being participated.
The
They
attorney
have
was
a-
2 years out of date from even being at the office.
So it's
So
time-
obviously the numbers, there's no clarity.
Correct, and so we need to fix it up. We need to go back and revisit, there's records out there, even something as simple as a bank account. The city is not on that bank account. Mr. Paul Sack and Tommy Baker's on that bank account, and Mr. Baker has promised me that he has not touched or done anything for that account in well over 2 years. And so we need to find out who are the signers of that account.
They were behind on some of
The
the
accounts with what bank?
South
Trust?
South Trust is where the bank is. So it just kind of like, it just left, and I think Mr. Paul has been there since 2004, so
Since,
literally,
started.
since it was created. And so he has a history, but he quickly resigned and made it effective as of October 1. And so we need to get a handle on that. And so the first step is that we have to get board members on board, officially appointed, and then we need to start having the meetings. And they still have Fulbright, Rose,
Yeah, it's owned by, I mean, those
Yes.
bonds are bought by a family of like 19 different members, and so there's some questions.
Why wouldn't somebody not, I mean, refinance a bond at 7 or 8% versus the bond rate today? That makes sense.
yeah, but the board can decide and determine to do that, and that's what's important going
Make the
forward.
recommendations towards them to do that, but they've
So
never had
we
them.
need an EDC member recommendation, the city's gonna have one. Once we get that going, then the city's gonna take the charge to actually.
So maybe
have a
note
meeting
that
to do
I'm going in there with some financial questions, that we're going to get those questions answered. And do the, you know, ask those crucial conversations that need to be asked, that represents our city and tidy up things that we need to tidy up. And
Well, that's a lot of money.
yeah, if they're behind on payments, we need to figure that out and make sure that it doesn't happen like that again. Now that, like Henrietta stated, the taxes are coming in with the houses they're selling, and they're able to make those notes.
Yes, I mean, so we're not, before, like I said, the developer went bankrupt twice. And then, so we're not worried about bankruptcy in reference to that. The project is going forward,
Yeah.
they're building new homes, they're actively building new homes, there's
I think they're
activity
building
there.
2.5 homes a month right now, selling.
They're doing
What-
5 to 7 permits.
What enforcement tools do we have?
FEDC?
No, the city.
Just make sure we have an active board member.
Technically-
on-
No, but I mean, if they're.
The accountability of the numbers, though.
But I mean, what are we gonna get in there and do to make them pay up if that's the case?
I need to get in there and see first. I need to get in
Well,
there and see.
We wanna do that.
We wanna get in there and
So,
see. We
I'm
gotta
active
get in.
for y'all support, or with a motion to, I guess, appoint me to that board.
Okay, motion to appoint Ben Reed to the Riverbed Community Development Board.
Second.
That was Ray and Jake. Ray was the first.
Whoever makes the motion.
Y'all kind of like, y'all doing footsies under there?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Should we get Ray first, and then Jake?
Yeah, Ray and Jake.
Thank you so much.
Got it.
6-0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck to you, man.
I wanted to make that notation before y'all. Okay,
CNA to proceed with a future project.
Okay,
That's kind
Oh,
of futuristic.
future projects. So, without going into detail of confidentiality wise, I'd just like for y'all's permission to move forward with talking to landowner entities north of town on what we can do to, we talked about earlier in the workshop, meet some of those gaps that we have right now. Like I said, I had 3 businesses that have called asking for warehouse space that just isn't anything we have available. So what I'd like to do is, as we have our Santac thing going forward and we know where some of our growth is going to come, maybe we can contact some of those business owners, see if we can work out some agreements to, you know, like Henrietta said, I think they said it best with like the USDA is that they're always looking for projects to help fund. So one thing Floresville doesn't have is we don't have a business park inside of our city limits. We have an industrial park that we are a part of, but it's outside our city limits. So as we go and do some of our funding for our future sewer lines, maybe we can tie them onto a project to help create some of the funding to help provide that sewer line going out, to work together with the city. And also meet some of our slippages in
So you're gonna ask for, go talk to prices and so forth?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, just to go, no, nothing in concrete and stone, I'll bring it back to the board, but just wanted to, maybe it's more of a, maybe when it was, maybe not question in action or
Yeah.
comment,
But just-
but just to get y'all's to move forward and talking to business owners, so that way you know what we're doing as an EDC. I mean, landowners, not business owners, about property.
You're not talking about a specific project? And I don't want details, I
Yeah.
understand that we don't need those
Yeah.
and shouldn't have them, but you have somebody already
Yes.
dealing with. And let me just make a comment, we keep talking about the industrial park being outside the city, but that was a planned idea.
Oh, yes.
though. I mean, we don't want an industrial park in the city.
No, you don't, but there's certain funds and grants and things you can get when you have a park inside your city limits that you can tie it to. So having something as a realm of a business park, so when the next electrical company wants to come in, our plumbing company wants to come in that needs that space, we can help them grow to create those jobs. Our fabrication business or.
Yes, and when we met with EDC, when we met with, with USDA, we went to them, we wanted to talk to them. There's actually grants out there that the city can apply for, but there's grants that EDCs can apply for to do infrastructure to an industrial or a business park. And so if you have one, then you can say, okay, we can get sewer or water to that park that's within
I
there.
wanted to say some of this, you understand, and I know because we've been through this before, on some of these projects, we can go into executive session to be more specific. It's provided for in the law, the Open Meetings Act.
If y'all want to do that, make a motion.
We don't have to do it in this one, but I'm
Not today.
saying you might think about
I
it.
think when Ben and I
For the next
spoke,
meeting,
Yeah,
we'll
when I
come
talk
back
to
he
to
doesn't
that.
have
Yeah,
he's asking for permission to
Just to
go
talk.
Just to
and
talk.
bring
No, I
projects
understand
back
that.
to
But as we come forward and I have those talks, that will go into executive session.
Because sometimes we can be a little more knowledgeable coming
Yes.
out of here, that's what I like.
Okay.
Something in your studies when you do that, and I see it as a problem, but, and I realize the point that there's no warehouses available, and there's no 5,000 roads, except, so we're talking about $600,000-700,000 project. These companies are only wanting to sign a 1 to 3 year lease, and they're out of here. Property didn't pay off in 3 years, didn't pay off in 1 year. So, if there's some kind of semi-safety net under your developer, you're gonna find more folks that are willing to step out and do something, but just run out there on your own for nothing, and then somebody walk in 3 years.
Yeah, no, I'm not wanting to do it where we're leasing it to them, but maybe along the lines of where we already have everything set in stone for them. Here's the property, it's already pre-zoned.
Somebody has a 6
The infrastructure's already brought to it.
But there's somebody just not standing out there all by themselves.
Yeah,
It's lonely house, right?
yeah. Well, there's a couple core tenants, like I said, as we get to that point with your permission and have, I don't want to, I told them that I was expressing trying to get that property, so if we can get that property, have some meetings set up coming forward, hopefully, with y'all's permission, then I can, continue those talks with them and make them a cornerstone of this business park. So it wouldn't be out there, just putting up there for no reason. We have a couple tenants that want to buy the facility, that want to own it, and they can be the cornerstone of that property.
So I think our motion should be proceed with a future project by asking for land availability of, on 181, or is that what you're
Just
talking about? or
within the city limits,
Within the city? Okay.
north of town maybe. I mean, I guess you don't have to be north of town, I mean, just within the city limits. But, I would like to have it north of town so it meets what we want to do with our infrastructure, like Henry was talking about. We have a project north of town and we can piggyback on that, and it helps put our infrastructure to where we need it as well, and help with the funding. And we work smarter, not harder.
Mrs. Turner, I'm going to ask you, does this item have enough information to proceed with an action?
Yes, I think it does, because you're just asking for him to start bringing the projects back.
Right.
Just as a FYI, if it's not in the city limits, if we touch it on one side, then we can actually, if you own it, then you can voluntarily annex it in. So, it was, when Ben and I were talking, it's just a discovery. We need to make sure that you are okay for him out there looking for things to bring back, and definitely executive session if he comes back with any kind of offer or any kind of
We can
anything.
talk more
So you can
specific.
talk specifically about what size, but we're hoping that we can put something together.
Well, then let's proceed with a motion, please.
I move that we go ahead and proceed with a future project with the understanding that no commitments can be made until we have actually had a good session on it by the board.
Motion by Gonzalez, a second.
I'll second the motion.
Second by Mr. Bruin, I believe. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
CNA to approve splitting the cost with the city for the National League of Cities.
So,
You want D?
D.
You're a business organized out for third grade.
That's because you didn't
She's
have a
looking
Charlotte.
really good, right?
We got a Charlotte now.
So, wow.
We got a Charlotte. You didn't have a Charlotte before.
You know, to steal her from.
Third grade. Well, there
Yeah,
isn't
yours.
anything under D.
Okay.
I guess no
I'm
one
gonna look
can
for
find.
D.
National League,
Oh, there's nothing happening.
there's nothing there.
Okay, so,
Oh, because Henry was help talk,
yeah.
we didn't have the
So the
printouts, that's what it was.
The National
Yes.
League of Cities,
Okay,
if I could, the National League of Cities is like a step up above the TML, the Texas Municipal League, and the National League of Cities, literally is just that, everything across the United States is there. And surprisingly, we found out at TML that it's being hosted here in San Antonio this year, in November. And so, of course, economic development is one of their push, and smart cities and all those things going on, and it would be a sin and a shame for EDC and the city not to participate in that. So it is actually, I want to say like $1,200 for a membership, which includes everybody. And on the application, if you all approve, I'll put every member here, including our lovely Charlotte, to be members, which means you're going to get emails and lots of stuff like that. And fair, not to worry. I know you
Email it.
secretly have email, but we will print it out for you, so that we
For
can.
this, I will, no.
Yes, so everybody wants to be able to do that, and so we're hoping that we can partner, so it comes to about $600 a person annual, and so it be exposure. I've gone to this
Person?
some time ago in
Agency.
DC.
An agency.
$600 an agency.
Yeah, not a person.
I'm sorry, an agency, so $600 for the city, $600 for you, so that we can be partners, and then you can participate in a lot of different things, and so you'll be surprised. I did attend a conference back in the day, I do mean back in the day, where it was in Washington DC. So they've hosted them in LA and New York and Washington DC, and it's gonna be literally in our backyard right the weekend before Thanksgiving, so the end of November.
Will that white car get that far?
So,
Man, you ain't been in that car, I was in it today.
what are we talking
We almost
about
got
here?
stuck in it.
A conference or being a member?
Being a member, and then the conference depends on what you need to be
Okay,
able to go
but
for.
here, we're splitting the cost of membership then
Yes,
for Floresville?
yes, sir.
And what is the split here?
600 apiece.
600.
6 and 6.
It's a worthwhile project for sure. So we're asking for a motion for $600 to
Become members.
become members with the city
Share
of
the cost of
Floresville.
membership.
Share the cost with the city, and then they'll get, I guess, approval on Thursday.
I'll know on that.
I'll second.
Then you all can decide who goes to the conference.
Motion by Gonzalez, second by Lambert, to approve splitting the cost of, estimated cost of $600 for the EDC.
Yes, sir.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we've done E, we've done F, we've done G.
About to run along.
All right.
Now to the,
They gonna smell those tacos.
Yeah.
now to the enthusiastic
Now,
Christmas.
Okay, gift to Gab, I gotta be short, okay. So, I'm gonna pass, this is Ricky's second copy, I told him I'd get it back to him so no one walk off with it. So, we met with Santec the other day and we got a recommendation. Or let me, I'll give you this one, you can get the red tabs. If you have any
I
questions with
can't
the
read
red,
that fast.
that's fine, no, you can, that's fine.
Come on, Fred.
Bottom line, tell us what the bottom line is.
The bottom line is they're recommending, number 2 to come in, just like how we talked, coming in that back way and cutting across. There's already a utility easement that's already there that we can piggyback off of with some of the business owners, and it's the less owners you gotta get, rights to go across their property. They're looking at making a recommendation for that one, it's right at $1.4 million.
Okay, whew, now I was trying to breathe. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah, just
So
wait for me to say
this
that.
is- So this is one of the projects that we talked about earlier, where we talked about bringing the sewer. And so what we looked at was, is it cheaper to take it on the real Highway 181 or the Business Loop 181? What's the best way to do it? I'm gonna spend this kind of money,
It's the
how many
red- it's the
people
red
will be
line.
affected, those kind of things. And so, the best way we can think about it is Business Loop 181. And I call it Business Loop 181 coming down, and it can serve all the way to the end of where we think about going. And so if somebody on the front end, because when we talk about like where Richardson Brothers is, and what's the name of the hardware store?
Ditmar?
Ditmar. If we go in front of them, we're gonna close them up for a while, and then I'm not servicing that many people. I definitely know vacant land, but if I do it on the business loop on one, and now we'll be in the city, we can be able to do that. We still have to have, how many lift stations, 2? 2 lift stations, but it can go to Riverbend's lift station, so they can lift it up. And mainly, we have to have a lift station because of geography. It's downhill, and you gotta pump it uphill.
Looking at your map right here, property number 22, obviously it's gonna be something someday. So you're better suited to run your line there now versus over here, and have to bring it over later.
Yes.
Spend
And the
money
good
one
thing
time.
about, they said about 181 is it's a natural flow anyway, so they just gotta go through one, like a landowner on the back, with an easement, they can tie into the sewer line on the backside.
So he looked at this, and we came up with a price. You know, we need it, we're gonna have to go find this money, because I know y'all had the money, I don't have the money for this 1.4 million?
Yeah, 1.39.
1.39, that's $1.4 million. So we need to be able to say, yes, you all agree, the city's got to agree, and then we have to go figure out where we can go get the money to be able to do this.
So we can get a 2 for it, as long as we go like we talked about, like a project that goes in there, that will help create that
Now-
infrastructure out to that.
Now, Stantec, and I knew we did Mr. Heimer, he's retired now, but Stantec is who we use for most of our sewer. They built that sewer plant for us, and so they have the information, the data. And so this is what you all voted for us to go look at the study. So they've got the study, he's got the numbers. Now that I have the numbers, we can go find the funding for that. So we're hoping that we can do a partnership for the funding. But it's gonna be all based on, but you can't go find the money if you don't know, they all wanna do.
if you don't have a plan.
You have a plan and they all want the PER, so this is the beginning of a preliminary engineering report. So he still would have to do some due diligence, like some surveying and some soil samples, but this is enough for us to get started. And what we need to know is what it's gonna cost.
Yeah, and now we know, so,
Gonna be someplace.
and it even talked about, like what you talked about, Ray, earlier, is how do we, what lines can work, which ones can't. So we even looked on the other side of the highway, and they talked about some of the things where some of those lines are already at capacity maybe. We don't know that because we don't have a sewage impact, a sewage study yet. So we want to make sure we put it in the right spot to where like those houses were zoned for like 900 or something, they replotted the size of them. So, you know, you can gain a little more space that way.
Your size better than gets out you.
Yes. So we're doing that. Then, of course, if once we do this wonderful line, let's just say money's no object and money's always an object, but we're able to get that line, then I need to have the impact fee so that if somebody's gonna come later on and connect on, depending what they connect, then I can say, because you impacted that line, I can charge you back to be able to do that.
Something happened in Austin, isn't it? Impact.
Yes.
We're not Austin.
Like I'm just saying.
I did that, yeah. So I
We've
said,
talked
we're
about
due.
impact fees for years.
Impact, capture fee, whatever they wanna call them, that's what we need to be able to
The
do.
new way, right?
Yeah, so we need, so somebody comes along, and not only that, but you have some property along that line we're talking about that's been vacant, that's huge, that one right behind Walmart.
Yeah.
Okay, so
The
he hasn't
used property.
developed it because
There's
he
no
doesn't
sewer.
have, it's no sewer line, and it was cost prohibitive as a developer for him to do that, the city had no interest to do that. If we have that project going, his property values just went through the roof. And so now we're saying that's fine, but if you wanna connect on,
And we talked to, like a Riverbend with Richard on that corner, he wants to do a secondary entrance. But if there's a sewer line there, now he has a hard corner for commercial real estate as well. We can do a 4-stop right there. It'd be a little offset with the Tipton property right there, but he can put in a secondary entrance for Riverbend community, and he has a hard corner, and the, you know, the impact that would have to economic would help on that backside as well.
yeah, so we went round and round. I mean, I think Stantec came out to us 3 times. We kept saying, no, no, you know, sharpen your pencil. We've got to figure out the smartest way because we only get a chance to do this once. This one, he mentioned Ricky Carrasco. He's our supervisor for our water and sewer. This is the best one that we've come up
And
with.
he found a manhole cover to cut across to shorten the distance out, because if not, the other manhole's right in front of the street, and then you'd be tearing up that street in front, so.
This makes a lot more sense than a bunch of that I've seen.
Yeah.
We really worked hard. Like I said, it took 3 tries before he
Yeah.
actually, we kept saying, no, we can't be able to do it. Poor Charlotte knows more about EDUs than she cares to.
Yeah.
But she's learning. So we've been at this for
And I
some
know where
time.
every lift station in that north of Floresville is now.
But I think that is our development, going north, because that's where our focus is going to be, going north as we're trying to develop, because that's where the land is at. And we're looking at commercial, not necessarily residential, but if we are looking at residential, we're looking at multi-family residential. And so that's something that we think is the highest best use. It goes along with Chris Stewart's land use plan and follows that for our highest and best use. And so hopefully we can have a plan, and I have to agree with you, we're gonna oversize it. We kept saying, no, I don't want any 6 inches, because
Bigger's better.
okay, because if you downsize it, you can't go. You can step it down, but you can't step it up without pumping all the other kind of stuff. So we want to say, what size would you recommend? And we need to go one size larger so that we can be prepared and we need to be able to do. So that's what we're hoping to do.
Is this legislation in the floodplain? It is.
Yes,
I think it is.
it is. But there is one in Riverbend, and then he'd have to do 2 more.
Yeah, he would do one right across, right before, where it goes downhill, right here, there's a lift station. And then he had to put one right there to pump it up that hill
Yeah.
right there.
Now,
This is natural flow, once we get it across the street.
Mr. Heimer's design for that lift station is designed for that development being fully done. So they have another 750 homes that they need to build out there.
No, we'd have to put it
That'll be
right there to pump it up.
as we add on to that.
But you're picking up a lot of growth by doing that. Smart play, you can bring a lot of stuff into.
Yes, and then we can take advantage of, TxDOT. They will allow us to do some things in their right of way, but they're not gonna let us do everything in the right of way. And so we'll have to do some things with those homeowners as well, those landowners, but they're huge landowners of agriculture property, so they're not really worried about, so one of the homeowners said, when we asked him, he was like, oh my God, you can put sewer there and then I can connect. So he's like, fine, you only have to buy it, you could just put it in, because he wants that sewer there. And so that's something that they can, because they're looking at future
And one of
value.
them we talked to said, oh, I have a plan that if you have that sewer, I can have some commercial frontage, so go for it.
Yes.
And this is still very preliminary, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask that you put it back on the
Yeah, we'll
agenda
update,
for the, yeah.
okay, we'll put it back in, like, no, we'll
Now
just
you
keep it
gotta price that,
monthly.
we gotta go find $1.4 million.
Yeah, so we'll do ongoing, and like I said, this will be part of our future development projects as well, so. B, the downtown Crystal, I've got 2 bids that came back. I'm reworking it right now since I went to TML, and I met the Christmas lighting people, and I'm waiting to get back from one of them. His prices were like a lot better over the phone verbally for some higher end lighting than what it was from the bidders. So now I've asked the bidders to just give me just what their cost, their labor would be put up. Basically yeah, because from that time, we talked to Danny. At the last meeting, Danny asked me to set up a meeting with
Oh, yeah, Mr. Lowe.
Mr. Love, great, and we met with him, and so they went over there and told us how it was hooked up, how they could hook it up, so that way we have directly what the electricians would have to do. Some of that wiring's already there and could still work, they said. Some of it needs to be replaced, but they have the spots and how we can hook it up. So now, by then, we shouldn't have to have any come to the board and get a bid, because now it's just labor work. So once we get the labor, we just pick someone and move forward with it. So that's just the update on the Christmas lighting that we're gonna have done by December 6th with our shopping night, so we can light the tree in the downtown. The Lodi Park update. So wasn't able to put a picture in there today, but they actually started today. It's been crazy because for Peanut Festival, we had to get through Peanut Festival with parks, and then from there, there's the trimming of the tree today is kind of where they went. They start trimming the tree today. They finish trimming the trees tomorrow. The surveying company came out. We ran into a little hiccup because there's a property owner over there that didn't have access to their property. They've been using the back access. And so what we're gonna do is working with the city. We got with the surveyor, and they're gonna give us a paper to give them access easement, not an easement, but access point.
Yes, we're gonna allow them to have an access point across city.
Because you can't give proper city land away.
I can't give it away, but we're gonna allow her to have access to that. We met with the homeowner, she was so happy that you all are doing something to that park. I think she's probably gonna watch it like her own private park.
Yeah.
And so, we have the
Oh,
attorney.
let me see.
We have the attorney. Yeah, it's your hand.
Oh, someone took a picture of their
We
hand.
have the attorney preparing an agreement for them to be able to allow her access to let her in and out of her property.
It'll be heated access, right?
Well, it's actually, we're gonna record it to see
Yeah,
that
we're
we
gonna
allow her
record it.
to have access. why she doesn't have access from her property from the front of her, I couldn't tell you.
And if you go to the front, there's a cutout, but the way her house is built, there's no way to even put a car up and drive to the back of the,
Is that Plum? That's Plum
yeah,
Street?
Plum Street. So,
Got it right.
so they put the stakes in, I think Friday or early this morning. We came out and started trimming the tree. Tomorrow, the city, part of the project, they're trimming the trees. They will have the skid steers out there, and they will be leveling up the whole property, even for the future as we do the other side. And then probably Thursday, they'll start coming out and forming the concrete
And so
slab.
she was able to say that she's gonna get rid of her, I think that was her father's old truck.
They moved
And
it.
her sister-in-law had a porta potty there, don't know why, but they're gonna remove it.
And there's a pole in there that we didn't even know, and then talked to Phelps, and they're gonna, the light that doesn't work, they're gonna move it and put an LED light over there for us, so it'll be lit up.
And I'm looking forward for the next ribbon cutting ceremony, because I think it's gonna be really nice. But since we've done that park, and I know you were out there painting, Jacob, and some other members were out there, I've seen more children out there playing, and she said that now since we've painted and mixed some lights and some things, so I'm looking forward to that.
So we're looking at completion date of about
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks from Thursday.
And that includes everything that you were talking about, little tables and.
Tables, stair, the trash cans, the extra benches.
They're all here, you received them.
Yeah, we received them all. We have them in house. We'll get with the Knights to help put the tables together, help install them, and finish the touch-up paint. And then I've talked to just on that park project. It's really taken off in that area. I talked to Pastor Gill with the Almasias United Methodist Church, and he wants to do like a adopt a park program, like adopt a highway. And he says that one of their mission of their church is to get more involved in the community, and stepped up to the plate. We'll bring that to the board and the city and see if what we have to do to get that going. They put a sign up saying, hey, this park is going to be adopted by this church for cleanup. And then put a sign up there, and as we do that with future parks, I think that's what's going to really show the ownership, and then we'll go out there and do some stuff with the kids. So that's where we're at.
This act says you're talking to this person that lives there, is that going to present any
No, it just,
potential danger to the kids or anything?
no, because we'll put a fence up. It'll have a 6-foot chain link fence around it that we talked about putting, so there won't be any dangers of anyone going on the property, so it'll be fenced off. So. And then it'll be ADA compliant with the 54-inch sidewalk and everything else. And so with that update of the parks, if we can go real quick to the very beginning, there is, we found this out today. We've been working on this silently, but we got awarded a grant for, there it is, right there. If you read that, we've been awarded a grant, so this is maybe some more projects we can work on our workshop moving forward.
The very front of your notebook.
You'll see it in
Very
the
front of the notebook.
page 2.
Second page.
Can we include seniors in some of these programs if there's?
Oh, you see it is. You should see it. There's pictures of it. Go to it. This is
Before we
some,
go to this, one question here. You know, when are we gonna get an update on what's happening with the recycling plant over at the industrial park?
so I've reached out to them and just set up a meeting. I haven't been, to be honest with you, I haven't been able to get a meeting.
I
with
just
them.
wanna know that we're.
Yes, we
going.
are pursuing it, and
That kinda got lost in the shuffle.
the timeline of with their stuff that was going on in their home country. So I've been out there to continue to talk to them and set those meetings up. They wanted to meet on a Saturday, but I was out of town, so I wasn't able to come in and meet with them when they were in town. So,
Thank you.
but this is what it'll look like. There's a layout on here. As you scroll through it, it's real interactive. It makes us a digital city. There's opportunity for someone to become a sponsor of it. So hopefully we can work together. Some of our goals working with the hospital. And we looked at a location, and one of the locations we presented to this was the Pecan Park. And as Roy talked about those trees, what trees are not good, maybe need to come out, but we have the arborists tell us and find a specific location that this can go over, and it can be covered as well. But it's basically like a CrossFit outside. This is a new thing they're doing at colleges. They have them out. There's 7-minute stations, 7-minute stations. All ages can be a part of it. It's all concrete. So with us being awarded this grant, I think they went out to 190 this next year throughout the whole nation, and we were one of the 190 cities that was chosen. So if you look at the funding of it, There's some local funding of $95,000 that need to be put into the matching part of it, and then some installation fees that can be curved a little bit, then the numbers they give us are a little high. So the grant is, I mean, the whole total project is $125,000, and then they gave us the grant of $30,000. And so as we move forward and budget for this and talk to other entities if they want to become sponsors of this, and like if we face it the right way in 97, it'd be a great backdrop of like, you know, a business or, you know, most universities do it or hospitals or other entities do it, so.
The idea was that when we ran across it, they reached out to us.
And there's the shading
to
area
apply.
part of it.
And they said they're looking for a park that's an active park. We have passive parks, but the active park. And he said, what active park you have? It's gotta be a pecan park.
We looked at that park.
You can ride by there
at
anytime somebody's walking, day or night. And then we could put something like this in the center. And so it's not like a lot of equipment, it just sets up and they do in the center, and then they
Low
certify,
maintenance.
they change, it's low maintenance, but we thought that would be a really good added thing to Pecan Park, to put it in the center.
And there's a digital ecosystem that they provide where there are apps where they can work out, you can talk to other people that are part of it, and other groups, and once you become part of the digital thing, it's free. And that's something that we have to also look at, our economic status of our community and what we're providing for them to get healthier on that end. So as we go forward, and we've done the grant with the Baptist Healthcare Foundation, with the Parks Foundation, what can we go to them as far as this is their new funding cycle, so reach out to get a grant with them and maybe partner with other things.
Yeah.
So.
And I met with a board member, actually it was HEB, lovely Miss Allison. Met with her from the hospital, and she said that's definitely something that they want to be able to do, to partner in the healthness and wellness of the city. So that could be like a synergy to do that. And so we were really, really excited, and we're going to be taking that full force now that we know we've been funded, we've been approved for $30,000.
And the key is just being funded to become, because they pick you. You don't really get to pick them. You don't get to say, I want to build this. You've got to apply, and then and then if they pick you, they said part of it, we're gonna give you $30,000 to get this going.
Yes.
So.
You know, when we had the Taco Trample, the week before Peanut Festival, they were out and they had 150 people to participate in their Taco Trample. It's gone up. He was saying that, I said, well, you know, what about Pecan Park? And like, it's boring. It's nothing for them to do. They just, you know, have to walk around in circles like a hamster. But this actually gives them opportunity to have it. You know, I don't, look at me, I don't want to walk around nothing. This gives people an opportunity to have that activity, and then they can grow, and then they have professionals that will come out and do that. Can you imagine they have some young people, and that's what their job is, to go around and have these wonderful camp things, and they have.
to be there too. I'm gonna set my gym at the house.
Yes.
The school can bring the kids out there.
And then they have all kinds of activities, but the app thing I thought was really, really unique, because you can track yourself, and they have a special app to do that. And so they have a group of people that they just like to go around and try the different locations. So the thing that we did add to ours to make sure was that we had to have it under shade. I'm like, I'm in Texas, y'all. It's gotta be under a shade. So that's why we added a little more cost, but I think it'll be really worth it. And I'm thinking that that's gonna be a perfect area. And then earlier when you all talked about if we have to remove some trees, like you were saying, we won't have to remove any trees for this, because it could be right in the middle.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no,
But it's-
I'm trying to save the tree.
Yes.
I'm a tree hugger. I
But
don't
it's-
want them to be removed.
But as we are looking this up, as we're.
That's why we have arborists come in and tell us.
So we want to be able to do that. So they're really excited, and I think it was today. Was it today about noon? I received the notice.
Yeah.
It was today.
So we were trying to put it on the workshop side, and I got talking too much, but.
Today at 12:56.
Yeah, so
They
she's like.
told us, yes, you got it.
I think that bill here is harmful if it goes underwater, because
It's all concrete.
It's all concrete, and you could do it on
Metal
asphalt,
poles.
and then it just broken, so it's made for outside. So this is really exciting, and this will be the first one in the San Antonio area. San Antonio doesn't have one.
Good job.
Yeah, so no, university have, but no one in this, will be the first one.
And
No.
if you see that they have this one is under shade, and that's what I really want us to have, the one that's under the shade part, because
So we're
it's
trying to set the
11:10.
standard.
We want to get under the shade.
And they said people drive like from all over just to come try this thing out, and they're like, the CrossFitters, they say run from their facility and go work out there and run back, so it's pretty neat. So, okay, so that was, any questions on those updates?
So now you have time to develop a logo for that sign, that wall decal.
We're gonna sell that one.
We'll sell that
Sell
one.
it.
We'll sell that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you go right here and look, you get responsible, and they can put the, yeah, healthy,
In conjunction with,
yeah.
okay, there we go.
We're excited
Yeah, and
about
then
that.
city's gonna have a new chip seal machine, they can repave the